start with what we call objectives of this particular topic. So introduction is that news gathering is a process of or the art of collecting raw materials for reporting. It is an important aspect of news reporting. How a reporter gathers news is the focus of this particular unit. So what are some of the objectives? Let me put it there first so that we can see all of us. The objective of this topic is that by the end of this topic, you must be able to name different sources of news. You must be able to name different sources of news. Number two, you must be able to explain how to generate ideas from news stories. And number three, you must be able to explain in details how a journalist should deal with people. You must be able to explain in details how a journalist should deal with people. So without wasting time, I will look at what we call the newsroom. The newsroom. So when you talk about the newsroom is the heart of news gathering operation. The newsroom is the heart of news gathering operation. So when news are gathered, they are taken to the newsroom. Not to the newsroom, they are taken to the news desk. At the end of everything, after gathering news and after writing news, after editing news and everything, the heart of all the operation lies in the newsroom. Why? Because here, the news editor or the chief reporter presides over the news desk. So he presides over the news desk, compiling the daily, the diary of jobs, briefing reporters, monitoring days coverage, checking the finished stories, liaising with photographers, answering queries, etc., and also briefing the editors and sub-editors on the progress of operations. So you'll come to realize that nowadays, technology has changed the face of the newsroom. Reporters still have the desk, but in place of the bedlam, of the typewriters and telephone, there is still faint hum of computer terminals. There is what we call the computer is always there. So the news editor who has invariably been a senior reporter, his work is to brief the reporters in varying details on the requirements and the expected length of stories to be covered. So many of the stories will be diary jobs. That is, jobs entered in advance in the newsroom. Diaries such as the courts, diaries such as the council meetings, committees, tribunals, in political speeches, weddings, etc. All these things are things that enters into a diary. Like, for example, if you go to one of the media houses, they have their own diary. They know they have events from day one of this month to the last day of this month. So once they meet every morning, they only assign roles to the editor, to the reporters. Just go to parliament. There is this thing will be happening. Go to the court. There will be a case of this versus this taking place. Go to a certain place. There's a wedding that will be taking place, etc., etc. There are also what we call unexpected events, such as death, accidents, fires, robberies, strikes. weather stories, crashes, sinking, and occasionally the odd fight or the odd fight. So these ones, you come to realize that as far as accidents, death, and all that, these are things that occur. We never know when an accident will occur. We never know when a crash will occur. We never know when robberies will attack and when fires will burn our properties. So these are news stories that most of the time they are assigned to journalists at random. So if an accident occurs, a journalist at random will be told, can you go and cover that? If there is a fire breakout somewhere, a journalist at random will be given that particular role to go and cover news on that particular fire, because it is something that has just happened. But as far as these other things like the diary, the things that have been put on a diary, these ones, the moment you get to the newsroom every morning, there is always events to be covered for that particular day. And that event has been recorded in the diary. So everybody is assigned. The other things like fires and all that, mostly they cover, those things, the fire, the accidents, the crashes, the deaths, the robberies, those are hard news stories. When you look at hard news stories, these are stories that most of the time they happen without planning. Like death, it happens without planning. Like fire is also another accident that is an accident that actually happens without planning. So in this particular area, when you're talking about anyway, let's talk about the sources of news. One of the sources of news is calls and contacts. Calls and contacts refers to people who calls and contact the news. The newsroom or the news. Yeah, the newsroom, who contact the newsroom. So news can be gathered either through personal visit. It can be gathered through either personal visit or known or likely news sources. For example, the police, fire officers, hospitals, council officials, MPs, undertakers, and secretaries of organizations. So sometimes you can you can go to the police station. And when you look at police station, police station is one of the sources of news. If you go there, you will never lack news. Even now, when you go to police station, there is always some news. If you go to court, there are always news. If you go to parliament, there is always news there. So whatever your newspaper make your network of calls as wide as time allows. So in short, you are being told, as far as you're a journalist, as far as you're a newspaper industry, or as far as your news, as far as you work in a news industry, like a media house, as far as you work in a media house, make sure that you have as many contacts as possible, so that they will be giving you news. They will be feeding you with something that they know that it is newsworthy, that you should come and cover. So apart from your attending court session, councils, and public meetings, this might be your only contact with some important sources of original news. Remember, a police station is where you get what? original news. Why? Since many calls may not receive favorable responses, there is a limit to time worth spending on some of them. Such calls should nevertheless be made courteously, whether on phone or personally. Another source of news is what we call, so remember we have talked about calls and contacts. So you can receive a call from a police station. You can contact a police station to ask whether there is any news, or they can call you to tell you an emergency of a news. Then there is what we call tip-off. A tip-off is it can be a source of a big story that can make the front page of the next edition of your newspaper. For example, a person trafficking drugs, say from Meru to Eldoret. Somebody, let's say, for example, a neighbor can tip off the police, can also tip off the journalists in the newsroom. And tip off means what? You tell them that there is a person trafficking what? Maybe bang from Meru to where? To Eldoret. So when you tell the journalists will prepare themselves and start now following that particular what? That particular vehicle. Of course, the journalists will work hand in hand with the police so that it can be good news, so that it can be something good. Remember, something bad for journalists is what is good. I mean, something bad for journalists is good for them. So whatever bad thing happens is good for journalists. So you are being told that as a journalist, never shun a person who approaches you. Do not put them down or put them off when they approach you. Even if you are busy, even if you are busy, do not shun them or do not put them down, put them off. Even if you are busy, get a message that person wants to communicate, because that message that he wants to communicate might be a very big story to you, and that story might be put in, on the front page of the newspaper. So number two, we have tip-off. Number one, we said calls and contacts. Number two, we have tip-offs. Number three, we have other mass media. So when you talk about other mass media, we are talking about, for example, TV. Remember, we are doing print newspaper. TV can be a source of information for you, can be a source of news. Radio can be a source of news to you. Online articles and online, we also have online news. It can be a source of news for you. We also have what we call chasing facts. Another source of news is chasing facts. Chasing facts is actually you are going to look for facts, you yourself. You just decide, today I'm going to Parliament, or today I'm going to Ministry of Education, and I'm going to chase the facts about maybe bursary, or about maybe scholarships. Or maybe you decide, today I'm going to the Ministry of Health. I'll be looking for facts about maybe COVID-19 and so on and so forth. How many people have died, how they have been buried, etc., etc. So that is another thing. Chasing fact can be another source of news. So you're being told whenever you are going to look for news, there are things we call tools for the job. Never and never forget your notebook. Never forget your notebook. And also mark the dates and reference on it so that you can refer to your notes, maybe 3 months or maybe 1 week later. Remember, there is also what we call the shorthand. Shorthand is a particular way of writing. Remember, when a journalist is writing, let's say, for example, is gathering news from a reporter, or from a source, you cannot write everything that this person is saying, but there is what we call shorthand. They usually write in shorthand, that when you put a certain letter, it means something. So you must have that knowledge of shorthand. Shorthand helps you to write fast. As a person speaks, you are writing. So your knowledge of shorthand is very important. Always, again, dress suitably. Always dress suitably, because there are places that people will chase you, even when you tell them that you are a journalist. They can chase you because they don't trust you because of the way you are dressed. Like, for example, if you go to parliament with jeans and a t-shirt, I don't think, and you try to tell them that you are a journalist, they might lock the gates and tell you to go far. But when you dress very well and you tell them that you're a journalist, then they may tell you they can tell you to come in and collect the news, or come in and cover what is what you have come to cover. Also, remember to take notes, make inquiries, and also when dealing with people, make sure that you deal with them fairly. Also, be thorough in your work, and also know who to ask and where to look for news. etc. So there are places whereby, let's look at who to ask and where to look for news. Like, for example, if you are to look for news as far as accidents are concerned, the people who can give you the news are the local police, the ambulance station, the hospital, the doctors, the eyewitnesses. Those people can give you the news. When you're looking for news as far as maybe, for example, it's an aircraft that has crashed, the people who can give you the news is the airport manager, the operating companies, the tour operators, the travel companies, the aircraft building, etc., or the Ministry of Aviation. So there are so many areas where you can look for news. There are so many areas where you can look for news, and I have listed them down there. So what I want you to do at this point, I'll give you a clip there. A clip there that talks about, no, before I give you a clip there, maybe I'll give you a clip there where you will watch that clip, and then I'll post a discussion forum where you are going to actually summarize what that person has said as far as gathering news is concerned. Tumeelewana?
Yes.
Yeah, nitakupea clip hapo. You go through the clip, and then as far as news is concerned, then you are going to discuss that clip and explain what you have understood as far as gathering news is concerned. So in a few minutes, I'll do that. In a few minutes, I'll share that, and then I'll create a discussion forum for you to do what? to post what you have understood. Post what you have understood. Hello, Michael, can you hear me? Michael? Michael, unanisikia? I've already created the forum. You can go and contribute.
Okay.